Join us Thursday for Team Shit Show 2.0 for romance, dating, love, and marriage, and also sex, and sex with sisters Janet and Jennifer. Let's talk on Team Shit Show 2.0.
The following program is rated TV MA LSV. It contains strong language, sexual situations, and violence. It is intended only for mature audiences.
Hello. Welcome to Team Shit Show 2.0. And it's me tonight and my sister, Jenny. Hi, Jennifer.
Hi, guys. How is everyone this evening?
Thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it.
Absolutely. I'm excited about tonight's show.
Me too. Who better to talk about this kind of shit than sisters?
I agree.
For the ringer, right? But
Yep.
I'm gonna say hi to everybody in the chat really quick. Let's see who's shopped. Okay, Six Nations, 31 Kings. Thank you for coming. And then Jackie, hi. Thank you. Oh, Mage Mustings, thank you for stopping in. I really appreciate it. Halakar, thank you so much for joining us tonight. I hope we can help out a few people. And help ourselves, because I found some really good websites, and we're going to talk about it and try to get a feel of where we're all going wrong, or whether we're doing it right and the people we're with are just doing it wrong or something. I don't know. Hi, Chris Moore. Thank you for stopping in. Hi, Ruben. Nice to see you again, and I'll see you tomorrow night for sure. Okay. So what I want to do tonight is I just want to talk about a few things that I found when it came to dating, meeting people after the whole COVID bullshit, where everybody's running around wearing masks and afraid of their shadows. They don't want to swap spit, or cough on each other. You have to stand 6 feet apart. It's kind of hard to have a relationship when we can't even be next to each other. And I'm one of those people that don't really believe in apps, to find people, even though it seems like every app that I'm on, I'm getting hit on by a guy sending me pictures of body parts or
Oh, no.
You don't have that?
No, never.
Never? Oh my God.
No way.
Now, you're being on this show tonight, you're going to get so.
Oh, dear. Well, I'm prepared.
Well, I'm going to share your Twitter, your Twitter account in the chat here in a little bit, and I'll share mine. But basically, that's what we want to do. I wanted to, explore some of this stuff, because I get so many people. What's funny is the apps that I thought I'd get it the worst, like TikTok. I hardly get anything on that. But Instagram, oh my God, I'm bombarded on Instagram. I get people calling my phone. It starts ringing, and I'm like, who is this? And it says Oomba Dooda or whatever, names like that. Just because I followed them on Instagram, now they can call me. I don't like that about some of these apps. Is, to me,
I wasn't aware of that. So
you want it so you can call people. You get it set up. You can have meetings and things like that, or phone calls about certain things that's going on. But that doesn't give them the right to just call you just because you followed them, and then 2 seconds later they're calling you, or they're sending you messages like, where do you live? Where are you from? How many kids you have? Do you have children? Are you married? It's all this bullshit. And I'm like, who the fuck has the right to just jump on someone and start asking them all these damn questions? I just don't.
Yeah, I agree. Personal questions. That's a little too personal, too quick.
Oh, here's the one I want to share. Let's share this real quick. Oh, wait, that's not the one. Darn it, I clicked on the wrong one, but that's a good one too. But here, hold on. I messed up. I think I deleted it on accident. I did. I clicked on it. I think I deleted it. Darn it, it was really good. Sorry, Mage. I think I deleted your comment unless you got rid of it yourself. Oh, no, there it is. I skipped ahead. Sorry. There you go. It says he was invited to a singles event tonight by the women who rejected me 2 months ago, saying to me that the organizer of the event told her to invite good catches. Talk about twisting the knife.
Oh,
What?
wow.
That doesn't make any sense. I mean, I don't know. I don't understand why some people do that kind of stuff. The thing is, if you're upfront with a person right away, if you meet someone, let's say you're into Comic-Con, right? And I
Yeah.
go to Comic-Con and I meet a guy and he's got stacks of books and or he's wearing a costume or something, more than likely I'm immediately going to think this is someone that piques my interest because he's at an event that I love, that I would love to go with other people. And if I
Right.
met someone like, let's say me playing Texas Hold'em, because I play in tournaments and I play with, a flat rate of money. I pay a fee and get in the tournament and I play that way. It's not me sitting and gambling. I'm only set to lose a certain amount of money when the tournament's over if I'm out, right?
Right.
But if someone else is there and they're into it, then I realize that, hey, this is somebody that has like-minded views as me, because they're interested in the same things. And that's where I see a lot of the problems on some of these apps that we'll talk about in a few minutes. Is the fact, like I was talking about this the other night on a show I was on with divisive content on Kick and X, and I think we did on Rumble too. And it wasn't my channel; I was just live on their show. But we were talking about that kind of stuff about dating and meeting people you don't know and things like that. But people will swipe left or right and send them a message, and then they go and they hook up that night. They don't even know each other. They go to their house or they invite a total stranger to their home just to boink, or whatever you want to call it.
Well, it's like Tinder in the Tinder
Yeah, like
app that
Tinder.
does something like
I
that.
don't know all the names of them, but there's a lot of them apparently. But
Oh,
the
wow.
thing is, I had this one girlfriend that did that. And she went out with like 5 or 6 guys because she was recently divorced. And she said she was having a great time. And some of them were really young, 10, 15 years younger than her. And she was having a great time. But she met this one guy. And, I already told her it was stupid anyways, because I said, you're lucky that one of them hadn't just stabbed you, cut your throat and took all your shit. You know what I mean?
Right. That's terrifying.
You're a total stranger. I mean, I just can't get it. But the thing is that she said later when I bumped into her like 6 months later, she said they were dating now. They'd been dating like 3 months. And she says she's really happy and all this stuff. And I was like, well, that's awesome. And she goes, but his birthday's coming and I want to buy him something, for his birthday. And I said, well, buy him some nice pajamas. And she was like, oh, that's too personal.
What?
And I went, what? That's what I said to her. I said, you're sleeping with him, but you can't buy him PJs. So, it's all messed up. When you start in
backwards
a relationship, in the middle of the relationship, and you don't even have anything in common, how is it supposed to work? You're supposed to meet somebody, date, get to know each other, find out what each other's interests are, and then go the next step. At least that's what I was thinking a traditional relationship would be. What do you think, Jennifer? What's your point of view on all that?
I have to agree with you. I agree with you on that department, to find somebody with the same interests so you can actually have something to talk about and it's not just physical, because your physical, your body, all that ages in time and you still have to be able to carry on a conversation or go do things together and just be able to talk is the major part, I think, of a relationship. Communication, for sure.
Yeah. I don't know. I cringe at the thought of it. I mean, I'm on, I got on TikTok because everybody thought my videos were funny, my little shorts. And that's the only reason I started doing it. I wasn't hanging on there and watching 500 videos a day or doing any of that stuff. And I hardly got any anything bad. It was, nobody really doing much. No, I get occasionally someone saying, hey, do you want me to help you get more followers, things like that. And I just delete them or whatever. But on here, I get at least 5 a week now saying, yeah, that, I really like you, blah, 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 what's your phone number? Let's go to WhatsApp and all that. I'm like, I don't give up my phone number to strangers.
So
I don't know
WhatsApp?
you.
What is
It's
WhatsApp?
some kind of app that I've used it before with Tammy and some of, other business type things for meetings, right? But I use Discord for my friends. Discord, we can sit and talk video. I mean, I've done it with Six Nations, and let me see if there's anybody else in here I've done it with. I'm trying to see. I haven't talked to. I've talked to quite a few of these. Oh, Ruben. I've talked to Ruben quite a few times doing that, and I felt confident with it. But I signed up with Discord years ago when I started selling those digital, collector cards for Star Trek and all that. Because I'm a grand master now at collections. Yeah. Because I've had it since 2016, and now we're selling them digital cards for real cash, right? And I've got all, I got the complete sets of cow and chicken. I think I got the number 3 most expensive or most, highest cards, best cards. Look, these are lowest numbers, cool. And I've got tons of those stupid cards. But that's why I started Discord, is to trade with a lot of people. That was back when you could use their coins and just trade back and forth. But now you can't trade. You have to sell. So I got a whole bunch of stuff to sell on there. But that's why I got Discord. And then over time, I found out more and more people were doing Discord. So I'm on there. But it's my own server. So if somebody's a dick, or being nasty or trying to show naked pictures or whatever, I just kick them out. I can kick them out of my server. I don't have to put up with that shit. You can't do that on Twitter. Now, I've blocked people on Twitter, but if you block them, a lot of them just make a new account and come right back. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. I just think it's really, really crappy that, there's so many people out there that are so desperate. I don't know. It's just weird. Or they're just kinky or freaky or something because they want to send pictures of their feet, or they're asking for pictures of my feet and shit like that. I just think it's really, I don't know, gruesome. You ever had that happen to you?
No, not me personally, but I'm sure there's plenty of freaks out there. I've seen videos or little shorts. It's definitely terrifying. I couldn't imagine. I've been lucky, very lucky so far.
Well, let me find that one about the apps real quick. Okay, here's the one. I'm going to bring this one up and we'll talk about it. Let's see. Golly, it's so bad at this stuff. The science isn't there. Yeah, that one. Okay, here it is. All right, here it is. Can you see it?
Yes.
Okay. So I'll read some of this stuff. It says a class action lawsuit filed in a U.S. federal court last Valentine's Day accuses Match Group, the owners of Tinder, Hinge, and OkCupid dating apps, among others, of using a predatory business model and of doing everything in its power to keep us hooked, in flagrant opposition to Hinge claim that it's designed to be deleted. Basically, the lawsuit is people are meant not to basically be able to hook up with anyone. You know what I mean? It's meant for you to have to keep going through and finding more people unless you pay them. Okay, this is another thing that I've noticed when I went and started looking at some of these. You get on there, and there was one guy that I was talking to, and he was on one of these apps, and he was saying he was sick of them because he said, how come average means 300 pounds? And I was like, what do you mean? He said, well, every girl, I see their face or whatever, and they talk about stuff and then I go to meet them, and they're huge, they're really heavy women, but they say they're average. So average means heavy, right? At least that's what he said. And I said, well, if you're smart, why wouldn't you want a video chat with someone before you go and meet them in public? With today's technology, at least that way you can get, look at them, make them walk around if you want, or so, I don't know, just try to be casual. But if you're having to do that, then, I don't know. I just think it's weird. I would rather just go to the gym or go to the library or, just like I said, go to a Comic-Con, go to the movies,
Yep,
things
and
like
meet new
that.
people.
Bowling. There's so many things you can do that you're still businesses out there that can accommodate you to meet people. Join a bowling league. I met like 6 or 7 nice people last summer when remember when my sister Dana got me to join her league and
Yes.
bowl. And I think it was a church league or something. And I was a substitute. So I only got to bowl when someone was not going to be there because they liked me because I had a high handicap. But the thing is, I met a lot of really nice people, but most of them were already married and stuff like that. So it didn't work out. But there's just so many different ways to actually meet people that are real instead of going swipe left, swipe right, or whatever it is that people are always talking about. But see, this right here, when I was reading through this, it reminded me of a couple of horror stories that I read about Uber. I'm
Yeah.
afraid to even call and get an Uber driver. Okay. Not because, I don't want to spend money or anything like that. It's because, what guarantee do I have from anyone that the person that I asked to come pick me up is actually not a psycho? You know what
Well,
I'm saying?
that's true. And I think people need to pay attention, especially ladies using Uber. When you open the door to get into the back seat, always order through the Uber app or the Lyft app. Make sure you
Mhm.
see the face and the name. And on top of that, when you get into the back seat of the car, right on the outside and inside of the door on the edge, there's the child lock switch. So
Mhm.
make sure that child lock is always off before you close the door and getting into the back seat of the vehicle. That's just a
Yeah.
pointer that I think every lady should know. Very
Yeah,
important.
definitely. That's very smart. I mean, because that's one thing I was talking about a few times too, is that when you're walking out to your car alone, to make sure you look under your car before you approach it,
Yes.
because someone could be under there and grab you by the feet and knock you to the ground, and then someone else waiting in the wings comes and they get you, they take your car, or your purse, or whatever, depending on what they're looking for. They just steal your car keys and your wallet and your purse and drive off with your vehicle, leave you laying there,
Yes.
with no way of getting home or calling the cops because your purse, it's got your phone and your wallet and everything in it. But to me, even men, see, people think it's all women, but it isn't. I've heard of many men that have got on some of these apps and they've gone to meet a girl at a hotel or whatever, and they get tied up and then they get robbed.
Oh,
You know,
yes.
stuff like that. So it
That's
can happen to
terrible.
anyone. But the thing is, the fact that we're in a society now that we're so desperate to meet someone that we have to use an app on a computer or on your phone to meet someone. I mean, what happened to the days where your girlfriend said, "Hey, I met this guy. He's real good friends with my brother or my cousin or something, and I want you to meet him." I think you guys would get, blind dates, stuff like
Right.
that.
Yes,
What happened to that?
but it seems like nowadays everybody's just the hookup culture. You're
Mhm.
just wanted for one thing. And it's flawed, extremely flawed. We need to
Yes,
kind
it
of
is my
bring.
sister Jennifer. Soy based Jeremy. Sorry, I was just answering his thing. Go
Oh
ahead.
yeah. It's just it's like a hookup culture. That's it. That and they just are going to be used by the time they're 30. It's like, let's bring, dating back. Actually, where you go to the house and pick her up, open the car door, go to dinner, talk, go bowling, like you said. That's something to do together so you can talk and learn
Yeah.
about each other.
The thing too is you don't have to have the guy pick you up like your first time to meet.
Oh, well,
Let's say
no.
you're gonna go
Right.
have coffee. You go
Yes.
to like a Denny's and have breakfast. And just talk over a meal. It's a little more casual and you're less nervous, you know.
Oh yeah, I agree.
It's kind of hard to be nervous when you're eating eggs and bacon and stuff, you know what I mean? And a
Right.
glass of milk and you have a milk mustache or whatever. But the thing is that a more casual way of getting to just sit and talk, you know what I mean? About things, you know, where are you from? You know, what do you do? It's nice to meet you at the so-and-so or whatever, you know, that kind of stuff.
Right.
Instead
I
of
agree
saying,
with
hey,
that.
let's get in the back seat and swap spit, you know?
Ew, yeah, no
You know,
thank you.
you know what I mean? It just seems like if a guy, any guy that first thing they say is, oh, you're really pretty, you want to have sex? Or starts wanting to push me to go to a hotel or something like that, that's a turnoff to me.
It is a turn off. And
If
you
a
can
guy's
also
only interested in that, that's not what
yes.
I'm interested in.
And you can also tell though, like if you say no, and if all of a sudden their demeanor changes and kind of gets angry or snappy, that's all they wanted. Move on. Keep going.
Yeah.
Don't settle like that. And
Yeah. Plus, to me, if they get angry, then they're probably very controlling, and
yes.
that's why they're not in a relationship anymore, anyways. But what's so sad is so many people that I've talked to on X, in some of in Discord and some of the in person, the spouse cheated on them. Okay.
Yeah.
And it caused a huge gap. And most of it, which sounds really bad too, is most of the men cheated when their wife had small children. And their thought was, she spends so much time with the kids, she doesn't spend any time with me. I'm like, well, they're your kids too. Help her with the kids. You know, I try to be help. You know, I try to help them understand that it's not babysitting your own children. When they say, well, I don't want to babysit tonight, you know, it's like, it's not babysitting. You know, you pay a stranger money to watch your kids so you two can go somewhere.
Yes, that's correct. You don't ask your husband to babysit.
The thought process of a lot of people, it's not equal. And that's what I tell people. These guys, I'm in a couple of groups, and the guys will say, would you smash or pass? You know, they share right?
Yeah.
And I'm like, and this one guy was talking about how he really liked this one girl and that he wanted to go out with her. And I said, well, what? He goes, she's a huge liberal, and I'm not interested in liberals, but for a boink, a jump, or whatever you want to call it, you know, a smash, it'd be worth it. And I was like, well, what if she gets pregnant from your one night stand? And now you're stuck with a person you said you can't stand, except she's hot. She's got a good body. Good body only goes so long. And when she gains weight, 35 pounds or whatever, when she's pregnant, and then the weight doesn't just fall off, you're going to be going, great. Now I got a kid, which is a lot of a full life of responsibility, and a woman you should not be attracted to, that you don't like her political point of view or whatever, just because you got turned on. To me, it just doesn't make any sense to me. To me, it's just no common sense.
It's not worth the gamble.
Yeah, you're putting a kid, you're risking getting a kid involved in all this mess, and they didn't have any say in any of it, you know?
Correct. But you also have to think that there's diseases. You could get herpes just from kissing, or if they want oral, I mean, ew. Maybe through saran wrap. But
well, the thing is like, what was it? I think it was I don't know, it was some TV show I was watching, and it was about, because I like watching all those documentaries and shows about different things. And they were talking about I think maybe it was about after the AIDS epidemic, and it was calming down, and it was some other new thing that was coming up, and I don't remember exactly what it was, but it's before COVID. And they were talking about how, if you think about it, when you sleep with someone, you're sleeping with everyone they've ever slept with.
That is, yes.
Because you don't know what they had. I mean, I don't have I won't have this problem, but if you sleep with a black person and you're black, another black person could give you sickle cell anemia. There's different things that it's attached to different people depending on what your background is, what your genetic background is. So there's just so much stuff out there. To me, it's not worth it.
No.
To me, I think we should start focusing more on family values and having monogamous relationships. And everybody says that's boring. And I go, no, it isn't. You just get a couple wigs and some sexy outfits and you just meet them at the bar and pretend like you don't know each other and have a
that's so
whole
cute.
night out and make it a romantic interlude with a total stranger. You know what I mean? You have to use your imagination. Why do you think porn is so popular? Okay,
Right.
people watch it because they want a variety. They want to see redheads or brunettes or whatever, or two women going at it or whatever, which I don't understand. That's one thing I want to ask some of the guys. Is I hear so many guys saying how they just want two women. And I'm like, well, what would you let her, your woman, have two guys, you and another man? They say, hell no. So why is it a thing that a woman has to put up with another woman when she's not interested in women? She's not a lesbian. But a guy doesn't want to do the same thing for the woman. Let two guys come into the room, that type of thing. See, it's not even, it's not balanced because men are more selfish than we are. They don't want
but men are visual too. Visual. They're very visual creatures.
So just have your girlfriend, stand up there in front of you and do whatever,
Do a little dance.
Play around with herself, or whatever type thing. But don't have to bring another person in the room. That's another thing that I definitely don't agree with is swinging. Every person I've ever met, and most of them were in the military, that swung aren't married anymore. And they've had multiple kids with different people. So it just never works out. I've not met one person ever in my life that was a swap, or a swinger or whatever you want to call it, and that are married to the same person. it doesn't work because you run the risk of getting pregnant with the other person. Okay. Yeah. And then you got a kid with this other person, which is always going to be in your face because it's your trap. It's like mom always said, remember, if it gets caught in your trap, it's yours.
It's yours. That is correct.
So if he's out, whatever, doing it and she's doing it, and she gets someone else's kid, that's your kid now because you're married to her and you're the one that put her out there on the buffet.
Right.
For everybody else, that type of thing. So to me, it doesn't make any sense.
I've seen that show. It's called Sister Wives. And it's like he's got 5 women and they have him. It's like I want to be with my man every evening or cuddle, or I don't want to have to sleep alone because he's with the third wife. And there's a lot of shows like that. I haven't yet to see a show where a girl has 3 husbands. It usually is the man that has multiple wives. I don't understand that.
Well, the thing is,
he needs variety.
To me, if you're wanting to do that type of thing, then you should just have a community. Just get like a neighbor, a little like a cul-de-sac. And you have houses on it, and then everybody just takes turns going to each other's house.
There you go.
Okay, and everybody has a community garden or whatever, and you have to, groom everyone's gardens, if you know what I'm saying. The thing is that it's never going to work. I know it won't work for me. I don't like to share. When I have something, I want to keep it for myself. I don't want. The thought of them doing that, whatever I like, being done to someone else by the person that's supposed to be doing it to me, I can't deal with that. That's why so many people get divorced. Is that cheating is like the number one reason people divorce the other. More women stay with men that beat them up than they do if they're cheating on them, which I don't understand that either. I don't think any woman should stay with an abuser, or a man, he shouldn't stay with an abuser. No. And I can tell you right now, from everything that I've seen with Will Smith, he's abused.
Oh, I have to agree on that. She's 100%. Not a nice person.
You know what I mean?
Yes.
So I don't know. I just wish that we could get to a more level state where you can have one-on-one conversation, look each other in the eye. Now, if a woman's wearing a shirt where she's got cleavage showing, she's not really wanting you to look her in the eye. Any woman who says that they're, why aren't you looking at my face? But they're showing their cleavage, they're doing that on purpose. And I'm a woman, and I can say that. So do you agree with me about that, Jennifer?
Yes, I do. You can still be sexy, but classy. Mm-hmm. You don't need to have all your goods hanging out.
But if a woman's goods are hanging out, is she wanting you to look her in the eye? That's what I'm asking.
No, I would say no, not necessarily. She just
Mhm.
wants attention, and by the sound of it, it's negative attention. That's the kind of attention I wouldn't want to have.
Well,
Yeah.
depends on my mood or
Well,
whatever I'm doing.
yeah, it depends on what I'm feeling, but also if she wants to, show a little something, it still is not an invite for everyone to come stare or grope. No
Well,
is a
not
full
to touch.
sentence.
That's one thing I can definitely tell you. I've seen some really good looking men with, nice butt or good broad shoulders or something
Yeah.
like that. But I'm not going to walk up to him, just grab it,
No.
But I've had guys try to do that to me. I
Yeah.
was sitting one time with Dana at a club, and we were sitting, I think it was in Dallas, and I was wearing a nice little mini skirt and some heels, little ankle boots or whatever and stuff. And I was sitting, and there were those higher chairs where your feet don't touch the ground. They're like
Bar stool sort of.
but they're the small tables sitting along the wall. It wasn't at the bar.
Right.
And I was sitting there waiting for a few more people to show up. And some guy came up to me, and he had like a wad of money, and he set it on my knee. And I looked at him, and it took me a second to understand what he was doing. I said, "Hey, I'm not a prostitute." I was so
Oh my
embarrassed.
gosh.
And because I guess in my outfit, but it was a huge wad of money. So he thought I was worth a lot of money or something. But the thing is, I said, no, I'm not. And he said he was really sorry and he was embarrassed and he left and I never saw him again. But it does happen. Everyone makes mistakes. But, I just thought I looked really good. But after that, I was self-conscious because I felt like everybody thinks I'm a hooker. So I'm not going to get up that much. And it sucks. It sucks when you think you're trying something because it seems like other people want you to try it, or they think you should, and I was always trying to compete because, it's kind of hard when you're a brunette and your two sisters, one above you and one below you, are built like Mae West and they have blonde hair. So you know what I'm talking about.
I do. I understand that.
Yeah.
But it's okay to be self-conscious, but just don't let it ruin who you are. You just go out and have fun, and you learn that as you get older. Huh?
Sooner or later, being yourself, sooner or later, you're going to attract someone. But the thing is, you're not going to attract anyone if you're sitting at home and you're doing it all on the computer. You're not going to attract a real person. And this other new fetish that's going around is the real doll.
I've heard of that. Yes, I've heard of that.
I'm gonna here in a second, I'm going to bring that website up. The thing is that they will make these dolls to order, with whatever hair color, here and there, if you want hair. Okay.
Yes.
And then they have different, faces that they can put on. They the same face, but one's got the mouth open, the other one's closed, that type of thing.
Yeah.
And they bend and pose, and they're silicone. So they're really, the thing is they feel like, when you touch them and stuff, just like those little dolls that you can get, they're called real dolls. They're babies.
Yes.
And they have hair, individual hairs on their head. And a few times cars have been broken into because someone had one, in the car seat, in the back seat, because they collect these dolls because they're hundreds and hundreds of dollars. Some of them are $1,000.
Yeah, they're expensive.
And then some of them are supposed to have a sign that says not a real baby or whatever on the window. And sometimes they forget to put them in there, but they've had their windows bashed in because people thought they were a baby in the back seat left in a car when they end up being a doll. Right. But if they break in because you didn't have the sign in your window, that's your problem. You're just screwed. But, a lot of people, and I watched a documentary about a guy who had like 3 of those real dolls, and he dressed them and posed them.
I know what you're talking about. I think I've seen that. And they're lifelike dolls.
Yeah.
And he talked to them and posed them and dressed them and laid them in his bed to sleep. And sometimes it's taken a little too far, I think, because sometimes in really, I guess, bizarre situations.
Right here, look at this. Look at this comment. It says, "Don't you know, Janet, that lesbian sex is hot, but male gay sex is gross? Sheesh." I thought this was men's thought 101. But the thing is, what I want to do is I want to talk to guys and let you know that women want sex. Okay, women get horny just like men do, and when we're in the bathroom at a bar or a club or whatever, we're saying the same stuff probably as you. Oh my God, you see that guy? He's got a nice ass, or his pants are really tight, or
Yeah.
things like that. We do that. Okay, so thinking that we're in there, I don't know what you guys are thinking we're doing, but we're doing the same thing. So women are interested in the same stuff. It's just that we go out about it, I guess, differently. And maybe some girls aren't like that. Maybe some girls walks up and grabs your crotch or whatever. I don't know. I'm not that kind of person, but maybe there are women that do the same thing as some of these guys. But but going and buying a bunch of shots and stuff like that for this person and partying that way is not a good idea either, because it can cause you to make dumb mistakes over the evening. Because if you think she's okay looking, you see a girl and she's okay and she's with some other friends and they're all like okay looking, right? But by the end of the night, after you've had like 5 shots, guess what? She looks like Bo Derek or some famous runway model, right? And then next day you're gonna be telling all your friends, I got her number, blah blah blah, and she's so hot, and blah blah blah. And then you guys go meet them and they're like, where's this girl you were telling us about? He goes, I don't know. And she goes, hey, how are you? And you're like, oh. You realize it isn't what you thought, simply because you were impaired at the time that you met this person. So I'm just saying, there's a lot of things that you got to be careful about doing, and not letting alcohol or drugs impede your thought process if you're in the middle of trying to meet someone that you might want a lasting relationship with. And if you meet them to me, if I meet a guy and he wants me to sleep with him the first night, then he's not a guy that's interested in a full-time relationship. So
I agree.
I would say, see you later. And I just get up and leave, because that's not what I'm interested in. And I'm into dating. I would not I'm not one of those people that's into this hookups. I've never been that way. I have had friends that have done that, and they were all miserable. Okay.
Yes,
and
I wouldn't do that either. I'm not that type.
They would have sex. Okay, this is another thing. Men are it's like you said, they're very visual. So when they see something and they want it, and they'll go for it. Okay. They'll put out the vibes. And if she says, oh, I'll take it, she sleeps with him. Well, guess what? She's like, maybe he was the best person she ever had in bed. Maybe she never had good sex before. And all of a sudden she's like, oh my God, this guy's awesome. Now she's thinking about him all the time. And he's like, click,
done.
He's not interested. He's got what he wants. The mountain's been climbed and run over. So now he's like, go to the next one. Right. So that's what I see. And I have lots of guy friends. And that's what they talk about. They talk about stuff like that, their conquests and who they're looking at, who they're interested in trying to get. And usually the conquest is the fun for the guy. Once he gets what he wants, and he didn't really have to put much effort in, because she was easy and said, yeah, whatever. And this is another thing I hear so much about that cracks me up, is I get in these DM groups with these guys, and they're all talking about, and the subject comes up. Well, they met this girl and they were really heads over heels with her. But then when they asked her, he came up and asked her, how many men have you slept with? And she said 37. And he went, oh, fuck. Like that. He freaked out. He said, that's like, a harem of men or whatever. And now I'm not interested in her, because she's been had by way too many guys. I'm not interested in being with her. And I'm like, well, how many women have you been with? He goes, I don't know. I can't, I've lost count a long time ago. And I said, so you don't want her because you think she's been with too many guys, but you've been used. Like 50 women, something like that. He goes, yeah. But see, that's what I'm talking about. It's not an even balanced scale between men and women. If you really want a woman and you want her to spend the rest of your life with you, what is it she has that you want? Okay, you're attracted to something. She's pretty. Maybe she's a good cook. She's funny. She likes to go hiking and camping and fishing and canoeing, all these different things. And then you get her, and then now you don't want to do anything. You don't want to go anywhere because you're tired when you get off from work, so she's you don't want her hanging out with her old friends. You don't want her doing all these things. You don't want her going out kayaking alone without you, that kind of stuff. So now she's conforming to what you want her to be, and now she's no longer the woman that you thought you were interested in. See, so we
Yeah,
and
that's
we
great.
change the person that we were attracted to in the first place. And then you're 10 years down the road going, who in the hell is this person I'm with? They're not the person that I fell in love with. Why? Because we try to do everything we can to change the person that they were when we met, instead of enjoying what you had, letting them have their friends, letting them have their hobbies, but you keep your hobbies and your friends too. And that's what makes it exciting,
Yes.
because you're
Yes, I
still
have to agree with that.
person. And I see that happen so many times. But I'm not saying that works, because you could still do all these things and try to be, he'll come home for dinner's ready, and you're wearing nothing but heels and an apron, hi honey,
Oh, how cool.
you
Yeah,
ready
that's
for
so
dinner,
cute.
whatever, that type of stuff. And you can still do those things and they still aren't interested. They still cheat. So I'm just saying, you can't do everything. You're one person. You're only half of the relationship. So you put in the effort, and hopefully the other person sees that you're putting in effort, and will try to do the same thing. But sitting down and talking about what you both want and what you expect from each other in your relationship before you put a wedding ring on it, you know what I mean? And understand what you
Uh-huh.
both want for the future before diving in head first into something that, you sell everything. You both move into the same place. You lost both your places. So now you're in this relationship before you even talked about what it is that you wanted.
Get
Now, we see that
engaged.
happen with young people, right? Young people do it because they're in high school, they fall in love, they don't have their own anything. They live with mom and dad. They have a truck or a car, whatever. Mom and dad, they're using their parents' car or whatever. And then all of a sudden they decide that they want to do everything themselves, and they get a job, they move in together, and they're struggling because now they can't afford all the things that mom and dad provided for them, right?
Mm-hmm.
But you're still madly in love. That, like the whole tragic story of Romeo and Juliet, it's the same thing. You have your love is so intense because it's new. It's something you've never done. It's exciting, but over time that it does change because you get tired. You work. You just have a lot of other things that take precedent over, wham bam, thank you ma'am, in the bedroom every night or every afternoon for afternoon delight or whatever. So but it's effort. It takes effort for both people. You have to be able to sit down with the other person and say, I've noticed that, you're not hugging me as much, or you don't say you love me anymore, or whatever it is, and find out why. What can we do to fix this? If you really want your relationship to last, you have to work at it. You have to communicate with each other. And I see so many people's relationships break up simply because they have no communication. They don't talk to each other at all. They might go days and just say, "Hey, what's for dinner?" And that's it. That's their whole conversation for the day.
I know, and that's so sad.
It is. But what would you recommend if you could, if someone was talking to you about saying that they, felt like something was wrong or that things weren't the same? What would you tell them to do?
What I tell them to do, I don't know about me telling someone, but I know if it was me, I would definitely, like you said, want to sit down and discuss it and have that open communication. So when you say, I am feeling this way to the other person, they do not get offended. They don't feel like it's a competition.
Mm-hmm.
And they actually just sit and listen and understand. And I will do the same. What could I improve on, or let's plan something like a little ways out so we can kind of get away from the house, the bills, the kids, or whatever, and just take a mental break with each other. And also, even time apart. He has his friends, you have your friends, and it's good to have your own interests, and then you guys have yours together. That way you stay your individual, but yet you have communication open, and then you're doing something with your friends and you come back and you're so excited to tell them about your day, and then they're
Mhm.
really excited to listen.
Mhm.
That's very special.
Yeah, it's like if you have if you write or you make things or you do, you have certain things that you do as a hobby, and the person that you're with isn't interested in reading any of your poetry or watching
Oh,
any movies that you like, or they're not interested in seeing any of your art or anything. They're not interested in anything that you find interesting, but they're constantly saying, "This is what I did. This is what I did."
right.
That's a one-sided relationship, and that's
Definitely
something that
one-sided.
you have to realize that it's not going to work in the long term unless that person, the person that's not getting anything, they're constantly give, cooking, cleaning, doing all this stuff, and the other person's uninterested in them at all. And that's a one-sided relationship, and that person over time is going to become resentful. And there was a video I saw, it was on TikTok. I wanted to show this one thing here is yeah, when you get older, that's the whole thing, is that you're supposed to try to find a life partner when you're young enough to procreate and stuff, because you're supposed to have children if you can. I mean, some people, don't have kids. That, that's just the way it is. But the thing is the fact that you become friends, okay, you become lovers, and then you get married, you have a relationship, and you work hand in hand to have a home and raise your family, take care of your parents, things like that. It's a normal progression of what a relationship should be like if you're in a relationship with a family that was like that. See,
Hmm.
I was from a family with 4 sisters and myself and my 2 parents, and they were always doing things for each other, working in the yard, cooking. They had people over to play games, board games. They'd have people over for picnics. We were always very active. And every summer, my mother would load us girls up and take us to visit all our relatives. Like
Oh,
we
I
go
know.
or we go to Texas, or we go to Oklahoma, or Florida, or Alabama, depending on what relatives we were going to go see. So my mother was very hands-on at making sure we knew who our cousins were, knew our grandparents, and had different relationships like that. And that's the thing, is that if you want these things, you should know that your partner that you're looking at having as a life partner with you wants those things too. You can't just assume that, well, she makes more money. She's a lawyer or a doctor or something, and she's marrying this other guy that's let's say he's a welder or a plumber or something like that. And those are 2 very busy jobs. So you can't just assume the other one is going to do all the work to raise the kids or take the kids to see grandma at Christmas, things like that. So it's got to be a partnership if you expect it to work, because you don't want one person to become resentful for the other because they never follow through, or they never do the things that they say they're going to do. If you say you're going to do something to someone, whether it's your friend, your mom, or your husband or your lover, you should do it. You should make an effort to do it because you want them to do it. If they say, hey, I want to go on a date this in 2 weeks, and I would like you to wear the blonde wig and that little black dress, and we're going to go whatever. And then you go up to pick her up, and she's just wearing a frumpy dress, and her hair's a mess. You're not going to be happy because you made plans to have something happen. Well, it's the same thing. It happens on both sides. If somebody doesn't follow through and drops the ball and doesn't notify them and say, hey, I forgot, or whatever, you ruined it for everyone, not just yourself. So, those
Right.
type of things, I wish more people would really just sit down and think about it, because, you can be yourself and have fun and have a good time. You don't have to be drunk, because I go out, I'm always designated driver, and I'm on the table dancing around with cups in my shirt and stuff,
Oh, I know. I've seen you in
I
action.
know,
So
and I've seen you do the same thing. But the
yes,
thing is,
you
because
don't have to
I
be
can have
wasted.
fun and not have to be drunk. I can
Yes.
have a good time, and I get embarrassed and laugh. But guess what? That's a memory for next week. When we talk about it and laughing about how stupid we were. We're out by the pool, we're dancing around and acting stupid, and we didn't care. You know, you and I had fun, and we didn't care what other people thought because we were having a good time. We were making memories, and that's how we looked at it.
That's
And I
right.
wish more people would, make an effort to try to do that. Guys too. Okay. And I'm not talking about, there's one of my friends that's in here right now. I won't say his name, but he'll know who I'm talking about. He's always saying he doesn't like men that simp for women. Do you know what that means, Jennifer?
Say it again. No.
He says he doesn't like to see men simping over women.
No, I don't know what that means. Let me
Okay,
in.
that means like, oh, she's so pretty. I'm gonna go buy her something, or I'm gonna just stand over there and I'm gonna tell her how beautiful she is, and I'm gonna constantly compliment her, and I'm gonna wait around until she's got time for me. Blah blah blah, that kind of shit.
Oh, I see
That's
what you're saying.
okay, but I've seen girls do the same thing. Okay, I've seen lots of girls do that for guys, and the guy just goes, they're not interested.
Mm-mm.
Okay, what does everyone want? A man and a woman. They all want, but they can't have, right?
Yes.
So they
yes.
become infatuated with someone, and instead of realizing, well, that person is untouchable, like a movie star, or a famous writer, or a painter, or whatever that you met at a seminar or something, and all you do is think about them for the rest of your life. Well, guess what? You're going to be an old cat lady because that person doesn't even know that you exist,
Right.
So you have to live in reality. But if you meet someone and they're not interested, then you need to move on. You need to realize that hanging out, waiting for this person is dumb. Do not do that. But if you are interested in them, tell them. Tell the person, I really think that you're a great person. I'd like to get to know you better. Like that. It's that simple. And if more people would do that, I think it would be so much nicer out in the real world, because you can actually sit down and have a conversation, and you're not thinking about, oh, well, is she a feminist? Well, ask her if she's a feminist. What does she say? How does she act? Does she dress like a feminist? Does she treat people like she's a feminist? That type of stuff. And the only way you're going to find out anything about anyone is by asking questions. And
I
me,
agree.
I have no trouble gabbing and asking questions, talking about anything. I can, that's just me. I guess it's because it was four sisters. You got to gab all you can, or you're not going to get a word in.
You have to, yeah, you have to try to squeeze it in there. And I love questions. I'm always inquisitive and wanting to learn something new every day. And I think the moment you stop learning is you become stagnant. You're not growing. You're not moving forward. Yeah,
sorry,
I'm like a little kid.
But yeah, it's just that it's on us. Okay. During COVID, I never hardly ever wore a mask. I didn't get the shot.
Me neither.
I never got COVID. One time I was sick, and I'd laid in bed for like 4 days, and I was so nauseous. I couldn't drink anything or anything, and I'd crawl to the bathroom. I was so sick. Finally, I went to the emergency room because I thought I was going to die.
Oh,
and
no.
The first thing they said was, well, you got COVID. And I was like, I don't have a fever. I'm just nauseous. That's it. If I could just not be nauseous, then I'd be able to eat and I'd be able to start feeling better. But I don't know why I'm so nauseous. Well, they took my blood because I wouldn't let them stick that thing up my nose, and I didn't have COVID. And then after they gave me some stuff to put on my wrists, and it helped with the nausea. And after like 2 days, I started being able to drink, and I started feeling normal again, but I just couldn't figure out what happened. And then it was about a week later, I was mopping the dining area, and that's when I saw all the dead ants. Okay. And I remembered, I had sprayed that bug killer. And they had a trail that had went from the door up towards the kitchen, up the thing to the side where the into the cabinet, like where the dishwasher was. And I had remembered, it flashed in my head, I had taken a wet wipe and I had wiped up all that stuff off the side of the counter and stuff. I didn't have any gloves on, and I'm allergic to everything. So the only thing I can think is that I absorbed a whole bunch of that bug poison. And it just made me nauseous as heck. I mean, I was just so nauseated. I just could not drink or anything. I just wanted to lay down and not do anything but sleep. And if I hadn't been healthy, I might not have lived. So,
Yeah, that's very dangerous.
that's the only thing I can think of because I didn't have COVID. But the thing is that, it's up to you and me to go. If you're in a relationship right now and you're having problems, think about it. What is the problem? Do you not talk to each other anymore? Do you don't watch movies together anymore? You don't go for walks? You don't cook together? I mean, there's so many things. You got to sit back and think about it. Write down what it is that you want in your
Mm-hmm.
relationship and what you're missing, and then approach them and say, I love you, but I'm lonely and I'm not happy. So what can we do to fix this? Because if you really want it to work, that's the only way you're gonna get the message across. Because the other person probably doesn't even realize there's a problem because they become so complacent in the way things are, they don't even notice. You see what I
Right.
mean? So, a lot of times the other person, it's not that they don't love you or anything, they just don't realize that there's a problem because they've gotten used to not talking about anything and just doing what they want when they want to do it. You know what I mean? So, it's up to each of us on our side of the relationship to make sure the other person knows that you're not happy or you're having a problem. And then if you do find out something that's bad, you got to stand up for yourself because you can't let them walk all over you. Just like you can't let a guy or a woman beat up on you. If they're slapping you around and treating you really bad, or degrading you in front of your family and your friends, that isn't a good thing. That's a reason to be able to step out of that relationship, because if they're going to treat you that way, it's not going to get better. It's going to progressively get worse. So, all that type of stuff. But I wanted to go to the thing about how to spice up your relationship. So I'm going to bring that up.
Okay, let's see.
I think it's a interesting one. Okay, here we go. Easy tricks. How to spice your relationship. 23 ideas that will work. They say will work. Now, I don't know if they will because I haven't tried them, but we'll see. We're going to read some of these things. Okay. Why should you spice up your relationship? It says that spicing up your relationship can pave the way for a healthier relationship. Well, yeah, just like I was saying about doing,
The role playing.
fantasy. Yeah, fantasy
Yeah.
role playing. One of my friends, now I wouldn't do this one. This one was too dangerous. She was telling me that her husband always wanted to dress up like a burglar and crawl through the window. Yeah, I wouldn't, unless you live somewhere in the rural area. I don't know if I would trust anything like that because one of your neighbors might pull out a gun and shoot you thinking that you're breaking into their house. You know what I mean?
Right.
So I don't know. And to me, I'm not into anything where you're doing it in public. Voyeurism isn't something I'm into, but who knows what anyone's into. As long as it doesn't hurt anyone else, you're not doing things that should be illegal in public or anything like that. To me, if a couple wants to try it, they should be able to try it. I mean,
Mm-hmm.
I definitely agree with that. Let's see. It says it can reignite the lost passion in your relationship, making it more exciting and enjoyable. Sometimes relationships tend to become a bit boring. Adding something spicy to your connection allows you to adapt to changes while maintaining a strong bond. And see, that's important too. Any relationship that you want to last, you're going to work at it. It's just like your job. You go to work to make the money to pay for all the things that you want to have to make your life more enjoyable. It's the same thing with the relationship. If you have small kids, maybe you can get your parents or a friend and swap with your friend and say, hey, I'll babysit once a week for you if you'll babysit once a week for me, so that you can have date nights where you go to the movies or go for a hike or, who knows whatever it is that you feel like you want. And what would be really fun is if you were to go camping and
Oh
you pack
yeah.
up a nice little sex pack, with some, maybe flavored gels or a cute little outfit or something, like some, soft fluffy underwear or whatever. I don't know. I don't know. I'm just thinking of some stuff to throw out there. But the thing is, it's all in your imagination. It's whatever you think that your partner will enjoy. Why not try it? The worst they can do is say, they're not going to say no. I don't think. They're going to want to go through with it. They'll just say later, let's try something different. I didn't like those underwear because they tasted like shit or whatever.
Right.
Just be willing to try things to see what happens, because you never know. It might be one of the most fun nights you ever had. But if you don't try it, you're never going to find out, right?
That is true. But I've seen where you can get couple books for couples, and you scratch off like in the bottom corner of that page, and it gives you little hints or something to do that evening. You're going to bake a cake together or a strawberry shortcake, and then you're supposed to take a Polaroid and put it in the book, and then you go to the next page and scratch off, and it gives you something new to do with your partner. So it just looks like a lot of fun.
Yeah, there's so many cute things out there. You know what? Where I find most of my stuff, my cute ideas, is on Pinterest.
I love Pinterest.
Yeah, it's got some really, really nice girls on there that really think about things, and they're really smart, and they're able to put things together. It's really good. But this is one of the ones I liked. It says, prioritize your relationship. Don't let your relationship take a back seat. Don't make excuses for being busy, tired, or just not in the mood. Invest time in your relationship so you can never end up repairing or rebuilding it. See, that's something like every day, focus on one thing that you can do nice for your partner, right?
Yes.
Just one thing. Rubbing their feet, I don't know, making their favorite dessert.
Yeah.
Or
telling them, get a whole little movie pack together and say, we're going to sit down on the couch. You got the popcorn, and say, we'll watch any movie you want. Try to, figure out who your partner is. Do they have new interests? Ask questions and talk.
We did the movie. Bruce and I reviewed the movie. What was it? The Full Monty. Okay.
Oh my goodness, that's a good one.
And he didn't want to watch it because he hadn't seen it before. But I was trying to explain to him. I said, it's not really about stripping. There's only stripping at the very, very end. The whole thing is about relationship building.
Yes.
It's about how these guys all become really close friends while they're all waiting to try to get a job at the unemployment office. Okay, basically that's what happens. And one of them gets a wild idea. Hey, let's do a one night only stripper thing and raise some money so we can all get caught up on our bills and stuff because we've been without work. That's basically what it was.
Right.
But the thing is one of the guys in the movie was chubby. Okay. And he was self-conscious about it, even though his wife wasn't, a 10, she was just an average looking woman. But she was, cute, and she loved him.
Right.
She didn't care that he was chubby. And that's one thing a lot of guys don't realize is that, a woman doesn't just fall in love with you because you got a nice ass or because you got broad shoulders, or you might even have love handles. That isn't something that most women that I know of even look at. If a woman's looking at you just because you got a fat wallet, she doesn't give a fuck whether you're attractive or not.
So
She's
true.
only looking at your wallet. So if you want a girl just to kiss your ass and do whatever you tell her to do and always look good, to the nines, she's never dirty and her hair is always done or whatever, then you're going to have to pay a lot of money to have a bimbo like that.
Right. That's a trophy wife.
But if you want a real woman, a woman that wants to sit by you while you're watching, a movie that you really like, a war movie or whatever else, and hold your hand or whatever, or eat popcorn with you or whatever, or rub your feet while she's on the opposite end of the couch while you're listening to your favorite album or whatever, those type of things, then you want a normal woman, a woman that's, not going to look like a bombshell 24/7. She's not going to spend hours every morning putting her makeup on and making sure her hair is perfect and she's wearing the right outfit and jewelry and all that bullshit.
Yeah,
Let
too
her
high
wear,
maintenance.
yeah, because we want to have a life too. We want to be able to. I want to go outside and sweat and work in my yard and clean my chicken coop or or push mow a little bit or who knows, go hunting. Let's go to deer camp or whatever, that type of stuff. I'm not going to be clean all the time. I mean, you're not going to be perfect. Your nails aren't going to be perfect. You're going to have dirty fingernails. You're going to have dirty hands sometimes. Fishing. I mean, cleaning fish, you got to get your hands dirty. But if
Oh,
you want
yeah.
that girl who goes, oh, I can't break my nails. If you want that kind of girl, then go for that kind of girl because that's what you're going to get.
Exactly.
So you have to think about what it is you want. If you meet someone and she's hot, she's good looking, and that's all you care about, then that's what you're going to get. You're going to get someone who can't have a conversation with you about anything because they're too stupid. They just like, oh, whatever bullshit. Okay. I want
Yeah.
someone I can talk to and have a conversation with, but also wants to jump my bones later. Maybe give me a smack on the ass or something. You want a mixture of all of it. That's what makes the relationship exciting. But this part right here is what reminded me of that movie about the chubby guy because he's self-confident or his self-conscious is gone. He doesn't feel confident that he's attractive and he's worried his wife's going to cheat on him because he's not that attractive. So right here it says, take care of yourself. Only when you are healthy and feel good about yourself can you take care of your partner. See what I mean? So, what is this? Jennifer, are you still there?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can now, but I heard
Okay.
the beat disappear because I was reading
Yeah.
the other thing. You got booted?
I don't know. My phone just logged off for some reason. So I'm good to
right.
go.
It's all right. Okay, so I'm going to go back to this thing. It's talking about keeping yourself healthy, trying to eat right, take a shower, a shave, try to take care of yourself so that you can take care of the other person, basically.
Yes.
So that to me, that's very, very smart. And I wish more people could think about that. You talk about how pretty the girls' fingernails are, things, but you never cut your own nails. You know what I mean? You don't trim your own toenails or different things like that. And there was this one guy I was at a party with one time. I wasn't with him. I just was talking to him, and he was going on about what kind of woman he wanted. And I was like, well, what are you looking for? And he goes, oh, she's got to be very athletic. I want her to be blonde. She has to have a good job and have a college degree. And he was going on and on and on. And I was like, well, what do you do? And he goes, I'm a truck driver. And I said, oh. So I said, so what do you have to offer a woman like that? See, that's what I'm saying. Some people put standards so high, it's unachievable. You're never going to find a perfect 10 that always looks like Bo Derek running with her hair bouncing and looking sexy on the beach. You're just not, that's impossible. That's never going to happen. You have to have
Right.
a reasonable goal of what your interests are. If it's not fairy tale land, you might as well go out there and wish for that unicorn, that carrying around with them, basically. But the other one was spend quality time together. Date nights are good, but it's more important to spend quality time without any intrusions or distractions. Whether you decide to get an intimate, cozy, or just spend time talking, make sure it's worthwhile and improves your connection. I think that's great. This is this is right up my alley right here. These ideas that's on this website. Give your partner space and have your space. See, that's what I said earlier, is that I see so many relationships where they cut everybody out. They don't go play golf anymore. They don't go hunting. They don't go to do stuff with their friends anymore. Okay.
Uh-huh.
They just hang out with each other, sitting on their couch watching TV. That's not even a relationship. You know what I mean? So that's terrible. I think you should still keep. I'm not talking about if you were a party animal and you were going to the club 3 nights a week, not to keep doing that. What I mean is, like if you have hobbies, like you like to go to the racetrack, once a month, or You like to play golf every other weekend, things like that. Keep doing those things and let her go do whatever she was doing on those Saturdays or Sundays when you were off doing that, when you were dating. So I'm just saying, don't give up who you were before you met, because you met and you were attracted to each other because of the things that you were doing and who you are or who you were when you met. So why would you want to throw all that to the side and become something you weren't anyways, and then they're not going to be attracted to you anymore because that person's gone now. Your little spark is went out. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I don't know. I agree with that. But it says make those small sacrifices. Small things such as stepping out of your comfort zone can help you a great deal in your relationship. I love this one too. It's like I was saying, spice things up by like, let's say she says she always wants to see what you'd look like one day in a zoot suit, right? Or a tuxedo. And so you make plans and you save up money or whatever behind the scenes for your anniversary to take her somewhere where she gets to wear a really fancy dress and she gets to wear a tux. See, that's a memory for her. You know what I mean? That's something she's going to remember later on, that you went all out for her. Because believe me, women do remember that type of stuff, just like you do. If you remember that she made your favorite meal or she tried to bake your favorite cake just for you, even though she's not really good at baking or whatever it is, the fact that she did it for you should tell you that she loves you enough to try to make the effort to do it, even though she knew she wasn't going to be perfect. Because one of the things that I had in my own life was I tried to make a meal that this person that I was with at the time loved. Okay. And their mother made it for them all the time. And I made it. And guess what they did when I cooked it for them? They took a bite, they spit it out, they went to the kitchen, got the pan, and dumped it in the sink. That was it. That's what they did. And I just went upstairs and cried because I felt like, I didn't know what I did wrong, but it was really bad, apparently, but that wasn't the right way to handle it. So a person
that's terrible.
should think about what you're going to do and how would you react if you did it for them, and what would they do, to try to show some kind of, to let them know that I appreciate everything you tried, but next time, maybe I'll get the recipe for you, or we get the recipe and we can try to make it together. Something like that. A totally different way of responding, and not the way that a lot of assholes might seem to respond, thinking that that's the way that, who gives a shit? What are they going to do? Leave? That type of attitude, which isn't good.
Yeah, but that was just awful that they would do something like that anyway.
Yeah, it is. But, people are who they are, when they let their guard down. Express your love often. He loves you and you love him. That is known. So why express it often? It rekindles your love and it reassures your partner. See? Like every morning when you say, I love you, and you kiss them or you give them a hug, or you even kiss them on the forehead, but you let them know, or even during the day, you can text them and say, I miss you, or I miss your smile, or something, hope you have a wonderful day, anything to let them know that you're thinking about them, because that reassures them that you have feelings, that your interest is still there. If you never do that and you never speak, you just say, oh, what's for breakfast, or what's for dinner? That is, that is not reassuring the other person that you're interested in them any more than whether they can perform a task, like they're a waiter or a waitress or a housekeeper, that, and if that's what you want, that's what you're going to get. That's all you're going to get. So you got to be careful about that type of thing. But, have gratitude right here. I love this one. Gratitude makes you attractive. Be careful. Be grateful for all the things that are working in your life and stop complaining about those which aren't happening. Positive thinking and behavior are associated with a better quality of life. So same thing, like I always tell people, try to smile. Say hello and smile at people, because I've done it to people when I've opened a door for someone. I just smile at, and guess what? They usually smile back at me.
Yes.
which is a good thing because it sends a positive vibe to the other person. It might change their attitude for the rest of the day if you just think about stuff like that. And to me, yeah, I'm a little selfish about it because I feel like if I smile and I say have a great day or something like that to someone else and they say it back to me, yeah, I'm selfish because guess what? I'm sucking that up because it makes me feel good that someone else said the same nice thing to me. And even if I had to say it first, it still makes me feel good when someone else does it to me. You know what I mean?
Same way. Yeah, I feel the same way. I mean, it costs you nothing to be kind to other people. So you receive what you put out. I do believe that.
Well, I do to a degree because I know there's a
Right.
lot of people out there that are narcissistic
Yes.
people and they do their only thing they do is suck life out of everyone else around them, basically, you know.
Yes.
So you have to be careful and pay attention to the type of way a person treats you. If they treat you bad one day, they might be just having a shitty day, which everyone has, you know. I try to just stay in bed and not talk to anyone when I'm in a bad mood because all I do is make myself more pissed because I know I hurt someone's feelings. And then I'm like, how am I going to make up for that? You know, that type of thing. So it really sucks. So the best thing for me is like mom always said, if you don't have anything nice to say,
Don't
don't
say
say anything
anything
at
at
all.
all.
Yeah. So, I mean, it's so funny how as we get older, we repeat what our parents used to tell us or our grandparents because they were right.
All along they were.
So let's see. Make your hugs last longer. Oh, that's so good. I love this one. This is a great website. Hug as often as you can and make it last longer and watch how magic of desire for each other unfolds. Here are a few facts about hugging. Hugging increases the love hormone
Aw.
level and reduces the negative effects of stress. You know, just like they say, when you take a kitten or a puppy and you go to like a nursing home or places where people don't get to go out, they're stuck in their house and you get to pet an animal, you know, it lowers your blood pressure
Oh yeah.
and helps you relax and it makes you smile because you're doing something that makes you happy. You know what I mean? So I do
Yes.
believe that 100%. It says argue less, listen more. As you are well into your relationship, you tend to take it for granted. I talked about that earlier. Sometimes even giving a deaf ear to your partner. Make it a habit of listening actively and arguing less by having dialogue or a conversation. By doing that, you show that you respect and care for them. Wow, this is great. I'm going to copy this.
Yeah. Will you share the link?
Yeah, I'm going to share this link with
Okay.
everyone and see if they're interested in it because this is actually got some really good stuff. And I've talked about all of this stuff and I hadn't seen this before. I just saw that it said how to spice up your relationship. So I thought it was really a good something really good. But I'm going to share this in the comments for anyone that is interested. Maybe bookmarking this and or printing it out and putting it somewhere where later on that you can go through and maybe take a few things out of there to spice up your relationship. Yeah, here you go. I said this earlier. Women are just superficial about a lot of things. And it's true, you know, and anyone that says that they don't do those things, they're full of shit. They're lying to you because we all do it. I've done it. Everyone's done it. There isn't a person on this planet that hasn't taken advantage of someone, lied to someone. I don't know what some other things that we've done that we know we've done people say they don't do.
Oh, why? I don't know. Talking about people behind their back, spreading
Gossip.
rumors,
Yes.
being spiteful, jealous. That's
Yep.
definitely not a good positive attribute, jealousy. Um, Thinking that you're in a competition with everybody around you when it's
Yeah.
not the case. Yeah, that's not a good way to treat
No,
people.
it isn't, but we do it.
I know.
And
And it's sad.
it might be because you're tired or you just fed up with certain things or you just have a lot of resentment built up. And it might not have anything to do with your partner. It might be because you're frustrated at work that you're not getting the promotion that you wanted, or you're having to work extra hours because they fired someone. It could be a lot of different things, but we have to try to remember not to take it out on the person that was supposed to care about the most. And if you live with your parents or your mom or your brother or sister, and you're helping take care of them or whatever, they are the one I'm talking about in your relationship. If they're there, try to do the same thing with them, to share your feelings with them about, I really care about you, but I don't like the way that you're talking to my wife, or I don't like the way you talk to mom, that type of thing. That will also help, because standing up for someone that you care about too shows that person that you care about them, that you stood up for them. From someone else, being mean to them or talking down to them, things like that. I think it really helps. All I know is that it makes me feel good when I feel like I have someone that's defending me, that's trying to stick up for me, or help me out, by saying nice things about me to someone else, things like that. It always makes me feel really good. And like when my phone rings and I see that you're calling me, it makes me feel good instantly, because I want to get to talk to my sister, and I'm sure it's the same thing for you. Because
I love it.
When you get those relationships when your phone rings, you go, "Oh my God, I can't answer the phone." That's not a good place to be. No, I don't want to be that person. I don't want to be the person nobody wants to answer the phone, because it's, oh my God, it's the old cat lady, it's going to beg for money, or she's going to ask me to come over and do her chores for her or whatever. It depends on, I'm just making stuff up. But the thing is that, we all have those people in our lives, and we've all done those things to others. And knowing that we've done it, but we know that it was wrong and we try not to do it again, that's what makes us better this time than it was last time. It's because we are making an effort, and we can improve ourselves up until the day we're gone, because we might not all die of old age. I wish we could all die of old age, but most of us are probably going to die from an accident, a car accident, or, someone else might, do something to us, or we might get a disease or whatever. You're not going to just die from old age. And that's sad. I wish we all could, because I just think it would be great to know that we have extra time, that we're all going to get to be old before we croak. But, we're just not going to. But the fact that if more people could look at others and try to put ourselves in their shoes, and how would we react? How would you talk to that person? How would you talk to them differently if you knew what they were going through? You know what I mean?
Well, I do. I understand that, because we're all going to die at some point. We just don't know when. So when you're in the moment, in the present, let people know that you love them and hug them. Just be compassionate, because we're not promised tomorrow. So
yeah, that's for
why,
sure.
Yeah, it's very important to love hard and learn from your mistakes.
That's one thing I've noticed a lot. Now, I go on X more than X and Discord are my two most used apps that I have on my phone. Those are the two that I spend most of my time in, and that I enjoy the most, because I feel like I know how to use them. I'm better at using them. I know how to get information out of it. I know how to share information on it. I know how to find my way around, so you feel comfortable. Because a lot of people don't use certain apps because they never become comfortable with it. They feel like, oh, I don't want to leave Facebook because Facebook's easy. I know how to use it. So I don't have Facebook. So I got rid of it years ago, but I just hated it. I just thought it was so biased. So I just do not use that app. But it's like anything, when you feel like you're in a place that you feel comfortable, that's when you say, okay, I feel comfortable now. It's time to learn something new, try something different. So every time you get to your plateau where you level off, add something, look around and see if there's a hobby that you'd like to try to learn how to play Texas Hold'em, try to get a puzzle out, start putting a puzzle together with them. find something that's really funny. Or there's now I don't recommend doing this because I did it one time and I will never, ever do it again. But people that like puzzles, I've seen them buy the puzzle and they don't know what it is. It's just a blank box. And you get it
Interesting.
out and you start putting it together and you have to figure out what it is by putting it together. But man, that is freaking hard. I would go over to their house and it took like 5 years. I'd go over
Whoa.
there and like, when I'm there, I'd find like 4 or 5 pieces and be able to put it together. And then they'd be working on, they say, yeah, I work on a few hours a day. And I'm like, really? It doesn't, she goes, yeah, but it's hard because you don't know where anything goes because we don't have a picture to go from.
Right.
So I don't, I couldn't do it because it was just too frustrating because I like to finish stuff. I like to, work on it, put things together and then put it where it belongs or sell
Right.
it or give it away or whatever. Having something sitting there for years, it not done. I don't know if I could handle that. So I was lucky. I just went over there every so often and put a few pieces in because I had to put at least one piece in there or I'd go crazy when I was over there. You know what I mean? Because it was like
Yes.
I have to find one piece at least because I feel like I had a sense of some type of accomplishment. So I do that with a lot of things that I do. Is I get very obsessed to do it. That's why I like working on some of these pictures that I make and when I crochet, because when I'm crocheting something that's in my head is I don't have a pattern, as it's coming together, I have a sense of accomplishment. Sorry, I got to give you something to drink again. My throat's really dry. My allergies are so bad.
Oh,
Right now. How long are you going to be able to stay on here with me? Because we're going an hour and 26 minutes.
I know, about 10:30, like 3 more minutes. I can.
Okay. Well, is there anything that you'd like to share about relationships yourself since, getting close to where you have to
I
leave?
get
She's an
relationship.
hour ahead, you guys. She's an hour ahead of me. So,
Um, I think we've covered quite a bit of the basis. I think we definitely need to get back to a little bit more of a traditional learning to get to know somebody because you're wanting a life partner
yeah.
instead of just this hookup culture, which, is insane. I can't imagine meeting a stranger like we discussed earlier. But
Yeah.
definitely communication and find
But it has
someone.
been around. It
Huh?
has been around. That type of hookup culture has been around since the beginning of time. That's
Oh,
basically
yeah.
prostitution. I mean, you're not getting paid to do it, but it's the same thing. You have to have the same mentality to be able to just, hook up with someone and do all that stuff and not have any feelings. See, that's another thing. I know I couldn't do it because if I did that type of an intimacy with someone, I would have feelings for them. I know I'm the kind of person that can have like 12 conversations with somebody and I have feelings for the person I've had these conversations with. I start to have feelings with people that I converse with,
Yes.
especially if I share parts of my personal information with them. I feel like I'm sharing a part of myself.
Yes.
And to me, when you do that deed with someone, to me, that is sharing a part of you.
Yes, I agree.
So why would you want to share yourself with 500 people and then think that person, you want to give yourself to that person? Yeah, I don't know. What do you have left?
You have nothing. Yeah, you have nothing else to give. You've given your most intimate part. And to be, I would prefer to have intimacy and romance, conversation, connection, like get little butterflies when he grabs your hand. That pitter patter of acceptance and love, but intimacy is a big one. That's just for me. I'm a little old fashioned.
Yeah. And I know that we feel a lot like that because we had the same mom and we have the same dad.
Yes.
And we grew up in the same house. So we have a lot of the same points of view when it comes to romance and what we want out of life. Because mom would tell me when I was going to go on my first date,
I remember, I think I was in 11th grade, and she told me, now dating is a process to find the person that you want to spend the rest of your life with. And I was like, what are you talking about? Because I had no
Right.
idea. And she said, I go, he just wants me to go bowling with him. You know, I wasn't even looking at it the way my mom was thinking I should be looking at it. I wasn't even thinking about even kissing the guy. You know, I was just thinking about going bowling and then coming home, maybe
Yeah,
having
going
a
and have fun.
hamburger, you know, that type of thing. But she was right, because she knew what she was talking about, because as soon as we were done and we got in the car to come home, he pulled over on this little like outlet, and then he starts leaning over to me to grab me, and I'm like, what are you doing? And he goes, well, I thought we could, you know, kiss and, you know, hang out a little while. And I was like, well, I'm not interested in making out with you.
Right.
And he never asked me out again. But the thing is that my thought process was not the same as another person at the same age, because I was a late bloomer. You know, I wasn't even I don't know. Plus, I was a tomboy, so I didn't really think about things the same way as other people did. Now, when I finally had that one boy that I really liked, and then he finally asked me out, then the whole time I was, you know, my palms were sweating. I couldn't, you know, I couldn't really think, because you're thinking about, I want to be, you know, pretty for this person. I want to say the right things. I want to sit up straight. You know, you want to do all these things because you want to impress this person. It
Yes.
does change the dynamics of the date, or the way that you're going to act with this person when you do have feelings for them. So it does make a difference. But the thing is, you can always have that if you work at staying in love with someone. You know, don't let that love die simply because you're tired. You don't want to make the effort. And if you're doing all the work, if you're the one person in your relationship that's doing all the work, you're the one that's always planning everything, you're the one that's always following through or making the initial contact or whatever, then the other one maybe isn't in love
Not
with
the
you.
right one.
You know, or
Right.
doesn't have those feelings anymore for you. So maybe you should think about maybe stop doing all those things and see what happens. Because if you stop doing it and they don't do it either, then maybe you're not in the place you should be. So I just want to make sure people think about that, because, you know, life is only so long. Okay. If you spend 25 years working towards a career, okay, and you never advance, they never give you a raise, and they never promote you, then you should start looking around saying, hey, there's another business over there that I'm interested in maybe working for, and they would treat me better. And
Right.
then put your resume in and see what happens, because you're not going to sit around and wait for something when they're not treating you the way you know you should be treated. You know, you deserve.
Yeah. Realize your worth.
Yeah, you are worth something, and
Yeah.
you're worth what you're willing to put out, and you deserve that same respect in return for the work that you're putting in. And you know, you never know; it might be really way better than you ever thought it was going to be, just by making a little bit more effort. You're going to say, "Damn, I wish if I'd known it was going to be this good, I would have started doing this 25 years ago, or whatever." You know,
Right.
the thing is, so many people don't, because they don't realize what they're missing out on, because they haven't had it. You know, it hasn't been there. So, you know what I mean?
Yes, I do. I completely understand, but I just want to make sure I let everybody know that I'm going to head out.
Okay, well, let me get your I'm going to get your Twitter handle. I'm going to put it in the chat.
Okay,
So
wonderful.
if anybody wants to, you know, follow Jan, you can, and I'm sure she'll follow you back. And I don't DM her right away. You know, as soon as she says follow, don't just send her a DM of your feet or anything like that, because I'm sure that won't help. No, I'm just kidding around. But the thing is that, you know, if anything you want that's worth having, it's worth working for. That's how I
Yes, I agree.
So if you got a classic car, take good care of it, and it'll last you a lifetime. And that engine will rev for you when it's time, right?
Woohoo! Yes.
It'll purr like a kitten if you take care of it and work at it. So that's all I wanted to say. But I just want to thank everybody that came and hung out with us for a little bit. And I hope that maybe you realize that, women aren't that much different than you. We want sex. We want love. We want affection. We want to be heard. But we don't expect you to fix all our problems. We just want you to listen. We just want you to listen just like you want us to listen to you.
Yes.
But we want you to have your friends, and you should let them have their friends. It should be even right down the middle, because it is a partnership. And if you treat it that way and you keep watering the garden, guess what? The roses keep growing.
That's
do
right.
it.
Fields
So,
of flowers.
Yep. Take care of your garden, and it will always be there for you. So I just want to say thank you, everyone. And I hope you have a wonderful evening. And hopefully we'll talk to you later.
Thank you, everyone.
One, two, three, go.